becomes more and more difficult to do beekeeping, and I think the whole term as beekeeper has more significance because we have to not only battle with the insecticides, the monoculture, and the loss of habitat for the bees, but now there's a whole new thing that it's very hard to grasp because we don't see it. My father started the business in 1950, so it's been 75 years in the making.
When Stephen took over from his father had a major bee loss, and Stephen began to rebuild the bees from there. And it was always a struggle to maintain the healthy population of bees. And then I think when I came into the picture, I could see that Stephen was really fighting hard to keep the bees alive and thriving, and I became really dedicated to this cause, and it was definitely a huge learning curve for me.
We noticed like there's been a greater decline in the bees since the 5G technology has been opened up in our territory. Is it that? You know, like again, it's difficult to understand something that we cannot see. What effect does it actually have on the bees? How do the bees actually react for that? And also, we know that they have a certain frequency in order to navigate, and if that frequency is disrupted, it creates a greater problem. These are eggs about to hatch here, things like that, and we can try to see maybe the queen's going to be getting closer by here. The queen's right here. See how she's a bit longer?
Got her.
You see her here?
Yep, got her.
Those are day-old eggs, so she's laying in there. And usually when I'm looking for the queen, I try to spot these day-old eggs that I see. She's probably around there. You'll have a very, very strong colony, and then all of a sudden, like you go back and it's like there's nothing left, and it's just like, you know, like the mite levels were low. That wasn't the issue, and you try to figure out, is there a new farmer in the area? Like maybe there's pesticides being sprayed. What could be the problem? So it's like it's so difficult to actually put your finger on it to establish the correlation that's happening.
We were already peripherally aware of EMFs not being that great for bees because of their natural instinct to navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. So it was very interesting to talk with Dr. Michrowski about his studies and his knowledge. He started conducting some experiments and some measurements to see what was active in the environment here. So he picked up on the hydro lines here. Bees, when they make honey, I think they're so much more adapted to the unseen energies around us.
You would even notice sometimes, like just if you have your cell phone on it, and if your cell phone rings on the hive, the sound of the hive changes. So it's like there's something happening. They're aware of it. The bees can pick up on things way faster than we can, and I think they're coming back to, you know, that the saying, you know, like the canary in the coal mine, and it's like they're telling us that we have to look ahead of this. I know people unfortunately have the tendency to think only at the end of their nose. They think about profit and that, but they don't think about long-term consequences. And you know, these are things we have to look at and understand, because if we want to have any hope for the future generations, we have to really start, you know, working on it today, and we should have started working on it a long time ago.
So my experience, just like when my husband and I were trying to have children, we were facing some challenges, and a friend showed up and started dowsing around our house and said, "Whoa, if you're sleeping here, you're never going to get pregnant. You're sleeping on a water vein." So I moved my bed, and 2 weeks later I was pregnant. So I was like, that's my experience with frequencies, because the water vein, the water traveling underneath the the bedrock produces an EMF that disrupts fertility. So that's probably when I started really getting interested in frequencies. And then afterwards, well, a little bit prior to that, I guess, but just working with bees, you really begin to understand the delicate nuances of these extremely sensitive creatures. So I'll take precautions, like at night I'll turn off the Wi-Fi. When we're working on the bees, we'll keep our phones on airplane mode. Just really things to not disturb them as much as possible. So we said that this area was highly saturated in EMFs, and also some telecommunication towers. I can't remember which companies or what generation of wireless it was, but I think it was 3G at the time. So there was a lot, the environment was very saturated. The EMFs from the hydro lines, there's a big hydro dam in town here not far. It produces a lot of energy. So he said that the hydro lines here produced EMFs that extended past the house and into the field across the road where the bees were. And then he said that he was picking up EMFs from the radio control tower, the air traffic control tower from the Mirabel Airport, and also the radio signals from the Lachute Airport. So then he gave us the LifeTune devices to install, and that was the first winter where we had enormous success with the bees. We had really high survival rate, like since the highest survival rate that I ever saw since I started working with my husband on the bees.
These are the LifeTune cards here, right on top of the hive, right in the dead center. This is where I usually put them, and as we have an idea to, I can try to show you what's going on here, and you don't want to do a big super snap because you. This is so, as you can feel, there's a nice heat. They're keeping all their eggs nice and warm right now. So these are all female bees, what you see here. So these are all worker bees. They haven't really started any male bees yet. And that's why we can't do any queens, because we don't have any male bees to go on the mating flight. These here with the Aries plate on it, we notice it really, I don't have to put a plate on each hive. One plate would actually be good for, I would say, a distance probably about 20 feet, 25 feet, 30 feet in each direction. So it's not necessary to put one on each hive. This one plate will actually help out the other hives. We started the new technology with Aries. It's been about 2 years now that we've been doing it, and like Natasha mentioned, the first year we had 90% success rate. Now there's only 10% winter loss, which was
it was dramatic. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so that was back to where it should be, and so it brings hope. It brings hope. You can see that the wild strawberries and raspberries are just abundant. They're just like overflowing with fruit. We know that bees will bring about increase the production about 50% of strawberries, blueberries 80%. All these crops, and people don't realize they go into the supermarket, they buy this food, but there's lots of steps to this, and if you don't have these, like we're in big trouble. So I think we have to do everything possible, and I think even in the political level, governments have to get more involved and saying how they can help and make sure there's research out there and all the things necessary to make sure that we can have food sustainability. As Einstein said, if the bees disappear, humanity follows about 4 years later. So it's like we have to make sure that we maintain these insects, and because it's almost like the canary in the coal mine. It's telling us that there's something wrong. supposedly the profession with the longest lifespan is a beekeeper. And is it maybe a combination of getting stung all the time, breathing in the air from the hive, the frequency of the hive? There's so many things that really help a lot. It's just an amazing insect. You can use bees actually, and the bee venom is used for many things. They treat Lyme disease, shingles. Also, they use it for cancer. Now they're trying to develop for breast cancer. They use it also. Skin cancer is very efficient. We've started off stinging people. Before stinging people, we're stinging animals. Like the people couldn't afford to go to the veterinarian with their animal. They had a tumor, and we would sting, and then we noticed like the tumor would totally disappear. I think there's even so much more that we're not aware of, and hopefully we'll be able to find out more things about them. And the bee itself, generates many products. Like the honey, we can use honey. We actually had a horse that had an injury on a post, and it was ripped open to the muscle, and we would plaster with honey, and we put a clay plaster on top so like the flies wouldn't go in, and within 2 weeks there wasn't even a scar to be seen. So people were just amazed, and every time we go to the farm, like we'll say like, oh, do you have any honey? I need to heal my horse. And it's like, so it became quite interesting. And the propolis too is like bees gather resins off of trees known as propolis, and you put this propolis in 94% alcohol, and over a period of 3 months you can make like a liquid or a spray where it absorbs the propolis, and you ingest it, and it's one of the best natural antibiotics that exist on the planet, and they use it for many things. It's just incredible what is possible with these insects.
My husband built me this beautiful bee hut last year. So the idea is that you come in here and you lie on top of these bee beds, and inside each compartment is a hive. And there's maybe a ½ an inch of plywood separating you from the bees. Very safely, you will not get stung. This is just a ½ inch piece of plywood with holes drilled in it, and underneath is a screen to protect bees from escaping. And through these holes, actually through the plywood itself, you will actually feel the heat of the bees. They produce a lot of heat. And through the holes, all the botanical vapors of the honey, the propolis, their own pheromones and hormones will escape and saturate you to your core. It is quite intoxicating. But once you lie on top of them, you will feel their warmth and their vibration, and it does amazing things to the body. It seems to completely reconstitute you. If you have aches and pains and inflammation, it just seems to make all these things vanish and go away.
This is quite important too, that we figure this all out together. And I think if everyone does what's required, we could probably find a solution to this. And this new technology that we've been trying for the last couple of years, we've been noticing it has a positive impact on the bees, and we're grateful for this.